In 1862, deep inside Charleston Harbor, a Confederate ship sat quietly in the darkness. But before sunrise, that ship would become the center of one of the most daring escapes of the Civil War. Aboard the ship was a young enslaved man named Robert Smalls. While others saw him as a servant, Smalls had secretly learned how the ship worked and how to navigate the dangerous waters around Charleston. For years, Smalls studied the harbor, its channels, tides, forts, and military signals. He was preparing for something extraordinary. He knew the harbor better than almost anyone aboard, and one day, that knowledge could become his path to freedom. Smalls noticed that the white officers often left the ship at night, leaving the enslaved crew behind to operate it. He began secretly planning an escape with several other enslaved crewmen. They knew failure could mean death. They carefully studied the harbor map, planning every turn. One mistake could expose them to Confederate soldiers. Then, on May 12, 1862, their chance finally came. The officers went ashore, and Charleston fell quiet. Around 3 in the morning, the planter's machinery came alive. Steam rose as Smalls quietly took control. The planter pulled away from the dock and disappeared into the darkness. Behind them was slavery. Ahead was freedom. Smalls carefully guided the ship through the harbor, knowing that Confederate defenses surrounded them. At the helm, he followed the route he had memorized, but now he had to fool the guards watching the harbor. Before continuing, Smalls stopped at another dock. His wife Hannah, their children, and other families were waiting there. They quickly climbed aboard. 16 freedom seekers were now on the planter, with no turning back. Men, women, and children stood together on the deck. Everyone knew that getting caught could be deadly. Fear filled the ship. Mothers held their children close as the crew watched the darkness ahead. Then Smalls put on the Confederate captain's coat and hat. He needed the guards to believe he was someone else. From a distance, Smalls looked like the ship's commander. But underneath the uniform was an enslaved man risking everything. The planter approached Confederate defenses. Soldiers watched from the shore, and one wrong move could expose them. Ahead were Confederate guns powerful enough to destroy the ship. Smalls remained calm because he knew the signals. Then came Fort Sumter, the most dangerous obstacle between Smalls and the open sea. Smalls gave the correct signal as the planter approached. The Confederate sentry saw the ship, but suspected nothing. The planter passed Fort Sumter without a single shot being fired. One of the most dangerous moments was over. But freedom still wasn't guaranteed. Ahead waited the Union blockade, and they could easily mistake the planter for an enemy ship. A Union warship spotted them and prepared its guns. To the sailors ahead, the planter looked like a Confederate vessel. Everyone aboard froze. They had escaped the Confederates, only to face the guns of the Union. Then Smalls made his final move. The Confederate flag came down, and a white flag rose above the ship. The Union vessel approached carefully. After those terrifying moments, the people aboard finally realized they were safe. Union sailors boarded, expecting Confederate officers. Instead, they discovered Robert Smalls and 16 people escaping slavery. Smalls had delivered more than a ship. He had brought weapons, supplies, and valuable information about Confederate defenses. His knowledge of Charleston's defenses could now help the Union understand the enemy's military positions. For everyone aboard the Planter, the moment meant something even greater. They were finally free. But Smalls wasn't finished. He continued serving the Union during the Civil War, using the courage that had saved them. After the war, his journey became even more remarkable. Robert Smalls entered politics and eventually served in Congress. The man once denied control over his own life had become a powerful voice in the government of the United States. Robert Smalls didn't just steal a Confederate ship. He turned knowledge and courage into freedom and changed his country's history.